G'day, welcome back to Dad vs Son. Today I'm going to go on with a solo game of Combat Commander Europe from G&T Games, designed by Chad Jansen. I love this game. It's a wonderful system, and I'm really looking forward to getting Combat Commander Pacific when it comes out. I've had it on order for a while. I've got Europe, as you can see, and Mediterranean at the moment, and I've got two of the battle packs, and I'm waiting again on the others to come back out on the P500 when it's ready. I have downloaded every available scenario that I could find online for this game and placed it in chronological order at the moment. So what I'm going to go on with as my first game is Tournament Battle Pack Scenario 2, Blitzkrieg Unleashed, which is the Polish frontier, 2nd of September 1939. So this uses map 12. The Germans have Lieutenant Schrader, Sergeant Biermann, 6 rifles, 2 line teams, 1 heavy machine gun and 3 light machine guns. And I have swapped out 1 rifle to give me 2 more line to help carry these weapons. The Polish forces are using the French pieces, and they'll have Sergeant Rousseau, Sergeant Binochet, 3 BAR squads, 4 chasseurs, 1 reservist, 3 weapons teams, a HMG, 2 50mm mortars, and 4 lots of wire. As we said, this starts in 1939. Victory point marker is on the Allied side at 9. Time starts at 2, sudden death 8. Axis and Allies are both line and using 3 orders each per turn. Axis attacking, Allies defending. Axis had the initiative to start with. Only objective chits are A and K, which are open. A is 1 point for objective 1, and K is 3 points for objective 3. The objectives held, the Axis have got objective 2, and which is down here, and the Allies have the other 4. Which are there. So here, 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 here. So this is 1, 3, 4, 5, 2. Okay, the Poles will set up first, followed by the Axis. Poles surrender at 9 and Axis surrenders at 7. So as this is a blitzkrieg, it's basically a surprise attack really, really fast. So my way of thinking is that the Poles have been basically caught in their barracks. So under the law, the special rules for this scenario, prior to setup, the Allied player places all his units into an opaque container, draw out 7 of these, and they'll begin the game suppressed. And I've done that, and my suppressed units will actually be Sergeant Rousseau, the 3 BARs, 2 chasseurs, and a reservist, which leaves me with Sergeant Binochet, 2 chasseurs, 3 weapons teams, and my weapons, which will not be suppressed. Now, further to that, the Poles can only set up in columns A through H and 5 to 10. So basically we're looking at this bottom left-hand corner of the map here, and they can only be in the buildings. So what I intend to do is I'll pause this shortly. I'll set up the Poles, explain why I set them up the way I did, and then I'll probably pause it again, set up the Germans, explain why I did that, along with the Polish wire, and then we'll get onto it. So be back shortly. Okay, I've set up the poles. So I have not set them up as a tactical force. What I've done is basically set them up in line with the scenario. So my way of thinking was that this is the main entry into the town, to the barracks area. So we'd have a couple of guard units. So of course, they're awake. We have the guard sergeant over here with basically what is the heavy support or the quick reaction force, the HMG. And they would be the only ones that would be awake, ready for anything to happen, or relatively awake. The mortar teams are down here in their barracks, and they just happen to be awake because they've got a exercise already planned for the morning. So they're up and about and getting ready to move. The rest of the troops, however, are in their fart sacks, blissfully asleep, waiting to hear a volley to get up in the morning and get to it. These three areas here is where the Germans can leave the map. That's the only reason that they've got the marks on them. That's A9, A10 and B10. So that's my rationale. These ones asleep in their barracks waiting for shit to happen. These ones the normal guard force. And these ones getting ready to go out on exercise. So what we're going to look at now is the German setup. Now the Germans have to set up in hex L2 or adjacent to it. So these 6 hexes incorporating the crossroads and the second objective. Now what they can do is they can give up the initiative. And by doing so, they can place a leader, a team, a squad and a light machine gun here in J5. Now, that's not a bad idea because you're only 2 paces away, 2 hexes away from the high ground here, which has got relatively good cover in the trees as well. So I think the Germans are going to take the punt on that and place that there. So I'm automatically going to give the initiative straight up to the poles, and I'll set up the Germans and come back to it. Just to let you know, I did the draw and we ended up with basically an 8 and a 1 smoke drawn. So I just pulled out a 3 to make up for it because 1s and 2s are treated as a 3. Righto, I shan't be long. Okay, so back again. So as I said, I've utilised the J5 placement for Sergeant Bierman with a rifle squad and an LMG. So they're good to go, which gives the initiative to the poles. And I've placed Lieutenant Schrader down here on L2 with a rifle, a line team with the HMG, another rifle line, and so forth. The other 2 LMGs there. So effectively what I've done is I've reduced one of the rifle teams into 2 line teams to fill me out here, and I also, with the poles, I can't remember if I mentioned it, I reduced the reserves to 2 line teams as well, and that's why we actually have 8 suppressed units here rather than 7. Righto. So the last thing to do is to place the Polish wire. Now, I've thought about this quite often, and I've played this a couple of different ways to try. I've tried placing the wire down here, basically to stop this mob moving through here too fast, to try and give this force a chance to get up here first. I've placed the wire down in this area before to try and stop them coming down the road and then through the orchard. And I've also tried sticking it up in this area to try and stop these Germans getting up here too fast. They're all good in their own way. So I'm not sure whether to try something different this time or go with something that's tried and true, or do it as even a stopgap. And do I put the wire down here to stop these Germans getting out there? And I think still the best is to slow these Germans down. And I can see this as being a realistic placement of an obstacle simply to protect this hidden approach here. This approach will take a little bit longer because there's more woods in the way, and because any of the troops down here that come over are climbing the whole way up from ground level, up 1, 2, 3 levels. Whereas Bierman here with his team has only got to go up 1 level. So last one. So I can place this on the objective if I wanted to, which might make it easier to hit them, or I could place it here. I'm going to actually place it on the objective because I can't see me getting up there for quite a while. So that's it. That's the setup. So the only thing left to do is to draw cards and then get into the game. So I'll stop it there. I'll draw the cards up. And basically any new cards I shan't look at until I need to. So if, say, the Germans use 2 cards, I will replace those at the end of their turn, and I won't look at them to see what they are until I actually need to. And the same with the Poles. Right. I think that's it. So thank you for watching so far, and I'll be back in a little while.